Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and rogue matter. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook.com/We Are Rogue Matter and YouTube.com/Rogue Matter. I am your host, Michael Dolce, joined as always by my cohort in crime, the Lord of the Radio himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
Everything's fantastic.
You are Lord of the Radio, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I'm going to call you that from now on.
Well, the 3 exclamation points are because you never call me Lord of the Radio in the first place. So
I do every week.
It's incentive. You have to be reminded every week.
Did you see that they have the new...
I have it all on tape, dude. I got it all on tape. Every show. It's all archived.
I think I'm pretty good about it. I think I'm
You're
pretty
okay
good.
with it. You're okay with it.
Unless I choose otherwise.
I don't usually have cause to complain. Let's just say that.
You don't need cause, do you?
No. But I mean, not having cause is an accomplishment.
Not having cause is a cause to complain.
No, not having cause is a cause not to complain.
But you can complain about not having cause.
Yeah, I complain because that's kind of the bailiwick, you know. It's a muscle. You gotta keep it. You gotta keep it strong. You gotta exercise.
I love it. I love it. Well, we have a great show tonight.
Right.
I say that every week, but I do genuinely mean it because I get to do something I've waited a long time to do. I get to flip the ballywig on you. You get to be one of our spotlight guests, which I'm pretty excited about. Because you were the cover artist on the latest Rogue Matter entry, which is Seila Fire Emergence. So that's some cool stuff right there. We also have the writer of Seila Fire on, and a little bit after that, for all the non-rogues out there, we've got one of my favorite segments, which is Trailer Truth or Trash, where we rate Doctor Strange. Did it live up to the trailer? And we go through the trailer. I've actually honed it now too, Hassan, to a point where I'm pretty excited about like how we're going to do it. Like the questions that need to be asked, name that genre, did the setup of the film live up to it? Who's the big bad, and spoiler alert, does it give away the ending? So we've got an official trailer to watch. We've got a lot of cool things. Yeah, we're really, we're diving deep into all this, which is great.
Of course,
so.
Of course, it's good.
But first, the aforementioned Rogue Matter presents Seila Fire Emergence #1. During the 1950s, during the great U.F.O. scare of the 1950s, a small town in North Carolina is suddenly rocked by the sounds of cannons being fired just off the shore in the middle of the night. When the sun rises, there are no signs of damage, nor any signs of ships. Then the bodies begin washing on shore. So it's
always a bad sign.
Well, you would hope not. Like you would hope you wouldn't see.
You would hope that bodies washing ashore isn't a bad sign.
No, you would hope that that would not happen. You would hope that would not happen.
Yes. You would hope your
morning.
I
agree. I concur. Not a good sign.
You hope your morning beach run would not be plagued by jumping over bodies that just washed ashore. Yeah. That's usually my hope whenever I go to the beach. Like, man, I just hope there's no bodies. That's all I want. Other people are like, man, I hope the beach is clean. I hope there's no jellyfish. Me, I'm like, nah, I just want no dead bodies. I'll consider that a good beach day.
I just read about somebody. This is like, I don't know if it's just scary being alive today, like because there's more hazards out there, or we're just hearing about more hazards because there's so much news. Like some kid, like he was on the beach in the Jersey Shore, and he just like got swallowed up by the sand.
Sinkhole?
Like, no joke.
It was like a sinkhole?
Yeah, like it just opened up and just like that was it. Just took him.
Was he gone, or did they get him back?
No, they didn't get him back.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean they got him back, but he wasn't with us anymore. Some downer news for Rogue Wave. But
man, don't bring that stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm terrified to go out now. I mean, I was like, wow, I thought the beach was safe. No,
welcome to my world.
Yeah, that's not the world I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of the real world.
I don't really want to be part of it either, but I don't really have a choice. I read the data. That's all.
You don't strike me as a beach type, though. Anyway.
Huh?
You don't strike me as the beach type.
Why would you say that, Michael?
I don't know, because you got the shades on, the hat.
You have shades on the beach. It's actually you can on the beach.
Those are not. Those are not. Those are not. I want to be on the beach shades. Those are. I want to be.
You're being thrown by the wool cap. That's what
It's
you're being
possible.
thrown. You're like,
Very.
that's thermal. You can't be on the beach with a thermal wool cap. You'll die. And I'm like,
You
watch me,
also. I
man.
know you, and you don't like the heat.
I don't like the heat, but if you're on the beach that's near the water, it's usually cool there.
I guess so, but still hot. I mean, you're still out in the sun. Like you're not a sun guy. Like that's I guess what I'm saying.
I got picked up 20 feet in the air and thrown on a beach by a wave.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
How old were you?
Messing around where I shouldn't have been. I don't know. 14.
Wow.
Maybe.
All right.
Messing around Fire Island. Messing around on Fire Island. Like, what? That's nothing. It was fascinating. You know, you go in the water, the thing lifts you up a little bit, and you ride it back onto the shore. Like, yeah. And they're like, well, we gotta slow it down now. The waves are getting bigger. Like, that only means it's gotta be more fun. And we all ran out there and we got wrecked. I mean, it wasn't just me; it was a bunch of us. But we got the nature. That was the last time I challenged nature. Let's just say.
That's a smart move.
Yeah,
I think that's a smart move overall.
I mean, wow. I mean, we might as well have been trying to rob nature. That's how bad she beat us. It was self-defense. It was terrible. It was terrible.
So let's switch gears off of getting rocked by nature and talk about the awesome cover work that you did on Seila Fire.
Since there's nature on the cover.
There is nature on the cover, but it's a good segue, one way or the other.
Yeah.
So there's five installments to the novel. So it's actually one giant novel broken up into 5 parts. So you had to do 5 covers. Clever. Describe to the audience what the assignment for this cover was.
The assignment was people are standing on a pier. And the first cover I did, which featured people standing on a pier, was rejected because the reaction was, these are just people standing on. And I was like, all right. I thought that was all right. Let me go back and see what I could do. With I don't know. You never said they were supposed to be doing something on the pier. So
it's very true.
Yeah. So we went. It was actually a good experience back and forth and stuff like that. But the original image was like, oh, that's just people on a pier. So that was just before the proposal I made, was just before I read the entire story. So when I read the story, I became much more aware of pretty much what they were looking for, and
which was not standing on a pier.
Well, I mean, that's what they asked for, but they, usually what you don't always get when people come to you with a commission, you don't always understand that. Yeah, they're going to give you a concept. Yeah. But it's your job to make that concept exciting, regardless of what that concept is. That's the whole reason they're coming to you.
Sure.
But yeah, I want a picture of a woman on a stairwell, but I want it to be freaky, Yeah. But if they just say, I got this great idea for this horror book, a woman on a stairwell, and you're like, all right, and you give them a woman on a stairwell, it's like, that's just a woman. Stairwell. What are you doing? What do we hire you for? So that was a quick lesson. That was a life lesson right there.
So
on a pier. I got you.
It's funny. We're not going to show the cover because I forgot to send it to our producer. But you did the original Seila Fire Exile cover, which is a prequel to the book.
Yes.
And I think that's like one of your most awesomest covers. But you don't feel that way. You felt like you weren't happy with the final output, right?
No, every piece is kind of abandoned. It's not it's not done to your specifications, and just like everything else, you have your own ideas of what would be really cool, and then you present it, and they're like, that's not cool, So yeah. you have to redefine cool, So
how many times does this happen for you though? How many times does this happen to you where it's like the least, like you slap something together just to give them options, but it's like you spent like the most time on one thinking that's the one they're going to pick, and then like the one you put together
all the time. That happens all the time, and there's no way around it, because there's always something that the first idea you have is the idea you gravitate to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then pragmatism hits you and you're like, well, I can't just give him one idea. I got to come back with variations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always usually the third or fourth one that you just pooped out, you know, in as a variation on the original idea that
Sure.
you had. It's like, all right, well, I'll just do it, and then I'll do one upside down, I'll do one behind my back, I'll do, and that's usually they gravitate. But all art is subjective, so they don't, people who are examining the proposals aren't coming to them with any concept of how much you've invested in each one of them, right?
Yeah.
They see a sketch and they're like, I like this one does it for me,
Yeah.
If you go nuts and you render one perfectly and then you just sketch all the others, they'll get an inkling that maybe you're leaning towards one above all the other possibilities. But that doesn't mean they're going to choose it. That just means they're going to be like, shouldn't have done that because I like this one. So you got to be cool. It's all about time. It's all about efficiency, that kind of thing, and it's all about the client, man. If the client is the boss, the client says goes. So it's like if they say your entire piece goes, you got to throw that piece out and give them another one. So
yeah, I mean that is the slave of the slave of being like freelance, right? Like, and also just not working on your own stuff in a sense, right? Because
in some ways it's easier because when they're happy, you're done. When you're working for yourself, you're almost never done because you're always, unless you're on a deadline for yourself, you're always tweaking. So
right.
In a lot of ways, it's kind of a better trip. It's more educational. You can't really get attached to things. But also you can pick your battles because there are times when you can be like, no, this kind of works better,
Yeah.
like, don't you think that works a little better? But you gotta learn the language of your customer. You gotta learn how to, talk to them. You gotta show them respect at all times and urge them that this is not about ego. This is just about imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this might be a little better, and sometimes you could sway them. You usually always have to sway them with demonstration, though. You can't be like, here's how I've explained, the geometry of this piece right here. Just because we have a warm color here, we have to have a cool color on the south end of it, or it's not gonna work. You can't do that. You got to be like, boom, here you go. I think this will work, and they'll be like, hey, you're right. All right, do that. But a lot of times they'll be like, nah. You just waste.
That's the worst part, right?
I mean, time, your time and everybody's time. Do it again.
It's a visual medium, right? It's like you literally know it when you see it.
Yeah, you can't explain your way out of art. You really can't. So it is what it is. But it was a good experience. I worked with Renee and James, and they were fantastic. So
James Mascia, the author and creator, and Renee Geerling's our managing editor. So that was awesome. Real quick, just a little more about Seila Fire. The bodies washing on shore draws the attention of a U.S. Air Force captain who's looking for signs of extraterrestrial life, along with some Russian agents who believe this is a sign the United States has developed a super weapon. What these phantom cannons are and where these bodies are coming from, that's anyone's guess. Unless you read Exile, which we can show the cover for Exile. This is also available on Rogue Matter. So if you're into sci-fi, if you're into see, I love that cover, man. Like it's got this freaky looking sci-fi looking woman peering into a void. It looks almost like volcanic, molten. It looks, there's stuff going on there. So if you go check out Seila Fire Exile, which is out right now as well on Rogue Matter, then read Emergence. You don't have to read both, to understand, one or the other, but they are definitely bookends to each other. And offer a great deal of, sci-fi fun for the, well, maybe not the whole family, but most of the family.
A lot of awesomeness.
A majority of the family can.
Some of the younger members of your family might have to sit.
Well, they might just they might be like me and be like, "There's no pictures here."
There's one on the cover. That'll get them.
Well, I in all honesty, I absolutely do think the cover is a huge draw. So definitely go check it out. All right. When we come back, and this is kind of exciting. Again, I got double bookend here by two people who hate being interviewed. but I loved it. I love the challenge. I love you inspired me to step up my interview game, which I probably didn't do. But either way, we just got the cover artist, who was also my co-host, so it was just easier to get him first. But we pre-recorded an interview with creator and writer James Mascia. He'll dive into this a little bit more when we come back. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, the other half of the dynamic duo that is Seila Fire Emergence, Mr. James Mascia. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I was just commenting between the break here that I've never met two people that like to be interviewed less than the two of you. So this is going to be a very fun Seila Fire Emergence interview for all.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just going to be me being as energetic and bubbly as humanly possible.
So I can fall asleep then.
Probably.
Wow.
Probably. So this is not your first interview about Seila Fire Emergence, though. You had the Seila Fire Emergence episode 1 podcast. How'd that go?
Went pretty well.
That is also available on roguematter.com. It gets released the same day as Seila Fire Emergence. So every new installment, which there's 5 of them, we're gonna have feature you, hosted by Bevan, a friend of the show, Bevan, and she manages to get a lot out of you. But one of the things that I thought was pretty cool was the inspiration for Seila Fire Emergence. Can you tell the audience where you got the idea from, and it's based on something that actually is real in North Carolina?
Yeah. Well, the whole idea came from, my in-laws used to live in Southport, North Carolina, which is where, the story is set. And there was, a time where we were down there and my father-in-law is telling me about, these things that he hears, which are called Seneca guns. And this is an actual phenomenon. There are these just things that, it's just a loud boom. It sounds like cannon fire that just happens naturally. And nobody knows what these things are or how they happen or where they come from. But they do happen, and they happen in various places around the world. And this area near Cape Fear, in North Carolina, is one of these areas that these occur. But they're named after Seneca guns are named after like Lake Seneca, which I actually don't even know where that is. But that's where like these things were first heard, apparently, and then somebody that's how they got their name. But it's a real phenomenon that I pretty much based the whole story around to kind of explain what they are.
So both Emergence and its predecessor, Seila Fire Exile, which is both of them are on roguematter.com. Which one did you come up with first then? Because it's two ends to the same tale, essentially.
The Exile came first.
Okay.
And when I was writing Emergence, I had this whole idea for this story and setting it back in the 1950s and wanting to make it about hunting UFOs and everything. And I wanted to add a twist to the story that it wasn't really these UFOs. And the only thing that made sense when I was going
the only thing that made sense.
It was the only thing. And I have this other story. It's just this little short story. But this totally connects back to that Exile thing. And so that's what I did. I just connected the two stories, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the fact. I love diving in with other writers. Hassan writes as well too, so I'm sure he appreciates it too. It's people often ask, and I think it's funny because it's more like it's a writer. It's like non-creative person asks a creative person, like, where do you get your ideas from? And most of the time the answer is like, I don't know, they just really just kind of come to you, right? Like you just think of something, or something happens, or something inspires it, and then your brain just goes in a direction, right?
Crazed, whacked out dream.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so this is almost, to me, exactly that, right? Like you heard something, you go, that's pretty cool. I wonder what the reason could be. I bet it's this, and
Yeah.
you know, or it could be this, and then like a story will just develop in your head. You know.
And that's exactly what happened.
Hassan, you're nodding. Is that your writing, your creative, your inspiration process also usually?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, my creative process isn't as spontaneous as that. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of cultivating. Like a lot of ideas converge all together, and then finally, if there's like enough, then there's something to eke a story out. But it's basically like that.
Yeah, because that always happens to me. I'll be usually in somewhere like quiet, like church, or I'll be in the shower, or like riding a bike or something, and I'll be like, wonder whatever happened with that. Oh yeah, it's a superhero, and he's forced by his own costume. That's why. Yep. And then and that's gonna happen. And that's gonna happen. And then it just like, you know, it's just like weird. And then you're like, I got to get out of the shower. It's like, I better go write this down. So, Celefire, just for those who are new to it, it's a novel. It's a novel broken up into 5 parts. Celefire Emergence. It's during the great UFO scare of the 50s. Small town in North Carolina is rocked by the sounds of cannons being fired just offshore in the middle of the night. But when the sun rises, there are no signs of damage, nor any signs of ships. Then the bodies begin washing on shore. This draws the attention of the U.S. Air Force, who is looking for signs of extraterrestrial life, along with Russian agents who believe this is the sign the United States has developed a superweapon. But what these phantom cannons are and where these bodies are coming from, that's anyone's guess. So let's talk about that. That's a great write-up. It's extremely intriguing. I think anybody who either reads it and or hears what I just said would want to go and read it. It's free, so you can go read it on roguematter.com. You can download the app
for free
as well, which is pretty cool. So you can go and consume it right now. Talk to us about the process of writing up synopsises. And I know, just, you know, having a friendship and relationship with you, it's professional relationship with you, that is your least rank it. Interviews or writing up synopsises?
Well, there's a difference. I don't like doing interviews, but I just suck at writing synopsis or synopses. Like it's like, you know, how do you condense? I forget how many words this story is. I think it's almost 100,000 words when you come down to it. How do you condense that down into a couple of sentences? And that's the thing that, you know, you want to give enough. You want to give enough information, but you don't want to give too much information. But you want to give it so that it's intriguing, but you don't want to give away anything. So it's like, I suck at doing them, and But
that one's brilliant. I think that one is exactly, it boils it down. It's intriguing. Like, I don't know. I think that might be your best one you've ever done.
It might very well be.
So what were you going to add to that?
Conventional wisdom says that you're supposed to condense it down to a sentence. You're supposed to be able to condense it down to a sentence.
To be able to do the elevator pitch, that one sentence thing, that's sometimes a little bit easier actually than doing like the back of the book synopsis.
Yeah, because then first you got to be talented enough to condense it down to a sentence, and then you got to stretch that sentence into into a little paragraph for a synopsis. It's crazy. Yeah.
COVID has severely ruined the elevator pitch because no one gets on elevators together anymore. No.
but we do it enough at the conventions, and I got the joke. Don't worry.
I'm seeing through Hassan's glasses as he rolls his eyes at that one.
I'm trained. I'm very much trained to not respond.
That's dad like humor that. Right there.
Oh yeah, you wish.
we do the elevator pitches quite enough when we go to the conventions, though.
Yeah, no, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to just, get somebody over to your table. I actually find the elevator pitch to be easy. I find the synopsis to be very difficult, though. I find that to be because the elevator pitch almost doesn't even have to be what your book is about. It just has to be enough to get someone's attention, right?
Correct.
in like one sentence. But that's the part that always gets to me is like, okay, how do we balance this to where it's like someone's reading and going, oh, this seems interesting versus, not, not being able to do that. It's tough. It's an art form in and of itself.
Yes.
So you mastered it with this. 50s UFOs. I love UFO stuff. I'm an Ancient Aliens guy. Love watching anything on History Channel. How big into aliens are you?
I love it. I watch that show too. Come on.
I know. Well, but the audience doesn't know that I know.
Yeah, I watch the Ancient Aliens show too. Haven't watched it lately actually, but I do enjoy that show.
You haven't missed anything.
I'm sure I haven't.
They've managed to crank 16 seasons out of the same like concept over and over again. It's pretty impressive.
Whenever I turn it on, it seems like it's like the same places they're going to.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I do like that show. I love doing the aliens and the UFOs, and I'm always fascinated by the flying saucers, and then they talk about Area 51, and of course that Hitler was friends with aliens, according to to all the conspiracy theorists.
The Nazi bell.
The Nazi bell. I forgot. Yeah, the Nazi bell.
That's a fascinating. Hassan, are you big into UFO folklore at all?
No.
All right. So there's an actual case in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, in 1965, where this object crashed in the woods in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, and
Imagine
the town.
that.
Well, wait. This is where I'm going to tie it all together. This is good. This is a famous one. I like this one too. It was on Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid, so this one I know is got at least some bones to it. The townspeople checked it out and they said it was like this bell-shaped object, and then the military kind of descended on it. Told everyone get out of the woods, can't cover it. The guy they were going to do some reporting. They supposedly threatened like the local radio journalists and all this other stuff. But the last thing the townspeople all saw was this bell-shaped object covered in like a tarp being wheeled out, by the U.S. military. Now, when they raided the Nazis in the 40s, they were working on some sort of time machine that was bell-shaped. And so people are convinced that
that's what that
bell
is. Yeah.
Was actually sent forward in time by the Nazis. What do you think of that? Is that the sequel to Seila Fire?
Of course it is. Come on. Gotta have Nazis in there. We already have the Russians.
Yes. Gotta throw Nazis in there. And the guy with a fedora on a horse chasing the Nazis. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's like the horse, right? The horse is, 1,000 years in the future.
We need to skip doing a pop culture podcast. I'll just do a UFO podcast from now on.
All you have to do is keep saying aliens for everything. I mean,
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. So is that why you chose to put this in the 50s?
Well, because again, it fit with the the whole UFO searching for the UFOs. So yes, it fits, and then the whole Cold War involvement in there also fits for that time period. And then there's also another thing that gets tied in that I pulled from, which is called Project Blue Book.
Okay, yeah.
Which is also part of like where we're witnessing like kind of the beginnings of this subsect, whatever we want to call it, of the Air Force that developed to search for UFOs. That's all in the book. It's all in the story somewhere.
So the main characters so far: Agent Robert Stockton, Russian Agent Katrina, and UFO specialist Evan Rollins. Talk to the audience. Let them know who are these people and what makes them special enough to be the main characters.
Well, we have the U.S. Air Force captain. That's Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that is searching for the UFOs. He's the guy that is looking, essentially on like the government's orders to find that alien life thing. So he's looking for He's coming down to this town because, you know, these phantom cannons are dropping bodies in the water. You know, they want to find out why, so he's there searching for that. Then you have Katerina, who is the Russian agent, and she is. They're convinced that the United States is building some sort of a super weapon that they're going to use against Russia. So she's there searching for that. And then Stockton is essentially following the the Russian agent, trying to discover what she's doing, and that's why he's there. And they all get involved with the raining bodies.
It's raining bodies. This is, I mean, you toggle between writing prose, but you also do a lot of comic book writing.
Yes.
What do you prefer? What do you enjoy?
I will say that doing the comics is probably a little bit easier. It's certainly quicker from the writing standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy doing the prose probably a bit more, because it's I like just having I like not having pictures and letting the imagination take over.
That's pretty cool.
I think that, you know, and being able to describe everything as it's happening, and you get I feel like in prose you can get into the character's head a lot more than you can get into it with the comics and everything. So
yeah,
I prefer doing the prose a bit more, though I do again find the comic book writing is probably quicker and easier.
You know, I find it the other way around sometimes. I find like I could write prose because comics is so visual, and so you almost, what ends up on my script is not what ends up in the final comic book a lot of times. Like I find myself having to rewrite the comic book a lot based off of what the artwork presents me with. And the art of dropping that other shoe in the comics, I feel like is a lot harder to do in the initial stages. Basically because, you know, sometimes an artist in two ways, right? An artist will either not deliver what I was trying to get across, right? Like not be able to kind of give me that moment I was looking for, or see it in my eyes the way I saw it. Or in a lot of times they don't, but it's done in a way that I never expected. I'm like, wow, that's way cooler than what I would have thought, you know?
Right.
Whereas the prose, I feel like you just have total control over.
Yeah, it is 100% control.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hassan, what do you would think? You're a prose writer, you're a comic book writer as well too. You got a preference?
Yeah, I think prose, basically.
Yeah.
Comic books are more they're less driven by writing as much as the writers of comic books would like to demur to that. But I mean, it is really visual. More of a visual. Yeah, it's a much more visual medium. You could get away with a lot more, a lot less in description, and really ride on the talent of the artist or whatever art you're using. But if you're if you're writing a book or you're writing a short story, something like that, it's all you. It's harder, but I mean, if you pull it off, it's more rewarding.
Yeah. So this is what happens when three guys who know each other and work together all get to be guests on the same podcast. See, look at that. Guests / co-host on the same podcast. You just got guys bullshitting about about the writing process. So, James, tell everyone where they can find you online and all the stuff you got going on.
We're drenproductions.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all looking for Dren Productions. We're just awesome.
Very, very good. And like we said, Seila Fire is available right now, roguematter.com, or download the app on iOS and Android and consume it. Sign up for a profile because there's going to be so much stuff coming down the line. You're going to want it. Everything on Rogue Matter is free, but then there's more stuff coming down the line that is extra stuff that only insiders can get to. So be sure to do that as well. James, that wasn't so painful, right?
Of course it was.
Well, it was fun for me. And
Okay.
that's all I care about. That's all I care about. All right. When we come back, more Rogue Wave podcast. Hassan, I'm literally sending you that file. That's a song called Paper Cloud. I'm going to literally send it to you while we're doing a podcast. That's the beauty of podcasting, right? You can just
Yeah.
you just do whatever you want here. All right. This segment,
Not a bad song. I have a very raw version of it on my
I got the
on my
finished
ancient-
file, not mastered, but the finished file.
on my ancient device called iPod. I don't know if the kids
your
don't know
iPod,
what I'm
you're
talking
right.
about. Yeah.
I like
Hey, not bad. Hey, you had a decent bass player in that band.
that. Well, the singer
That was
wasn't
all
bad either.
right. Huh?
Singer wasn't bad. Singer wasn't bad
Nah,
either. I got the finished.
He wasn't as good
everything
as your
on it.
bass player though.
It's very true. Very true. All right. This segment is called Trailer, Truth, or Trash, and we are truthing or trashing Doctor Strange. Here's how it works.
I gotta confess before you go into the rules of it.
Yeah.
This particular trailer that we're gonna truth or trash.
Yeah.
I had never seen the trailer before I saw the movie.
That's okay.
I am just saying. I'm like, where'd you get this trailer from? This is like a half hour. It was a long trailer.
Well, I don't know. It's the official
Like
trailer.
45-minute trailer.
No,
Like a
it's
chunk of the film.
like 2 minutes.
That's a long time. There's a lot of stuff in that trailer.
Yes. Yes. So we're gonna be able to dive in. So here's the rules. You're gonna still see us talking. We're gonna be little boxes of talking heads, and we're gonna do a little mystery science theater blah blah blah, mystery science theater 3000 style commentary over the trailer, and then we're gonna ask some important questions. We're gonna go name that genre. Did the film set up the world that? Did the trailer set up the world that the film ultimately delivers on? Then we're gonna see who's the big bad. Because there's a lot of trailers out there that steer you in one direction, and they kind of bait and switch and give you something else. And then finally, it's bait and switch. It's a spoiler alert. Did the trailer actually give away the ending? Because I'm thinking back to that. You remember that that Harrison Ford movie? It was in 2000. It was with Michelle Pfeiffer. What's that one I'm thinking of? Come on.
Presumed Innocent.
No. Here we go. I'm gonna tell you right now. It's What Lies Beneath. Do you remember that?
Oh man, that was completely different.
That was one of
Harrison
the
Ford movie.
Yeah. That was a movie though that I basically was the first time I'd ever seen this, where they basically just gave away the entire end. Like you see in the trailer that it's him, that he was the killer. Like, and you're like, well, isn't that kind of giving everything away? And there's like a study that found that people found that those kind of trailers are actually very, very successful in still getting people to go to the theater, which I don't know how. Like, I basically watched it. I'm like, well, I just saw the movie. Like, I just watched 2 minutes of exactly what the movie is.
I remember like Presumed Innocent or whatever the name of that Harrison Ford movie was, where he, whether or not his wife had died, someone had died and he was accused. Harrison Ford was
The Fugitive?
No, Harrison Ford was accused. Not his wife. Someone had died.
Okay.
And Harrison Ford was accused of killing. And on an episode of The Kids in the Hall, they gave it away. Hecubus gave it away because they were supposed to be in hell. I was like, Hecubus, have you seen Presumed Innocent? He goes, I have, master. And his wife killed her. He was like, hey, I haven't seen that. And he was like, oh, I guess I'm evil then. That was
now I have no reason to go watch Presumed Innocent.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of what happened to us, because we were like, hey, that was pretty funny, but God damn it.
All right, here we go. Doctor Strange. Here's the official trailer. Let's behold. For our audio audiences, we are still here. We're gonna give you the play-by-play. All right, Doctor Strange. He's there's a door that opened up and there's some stairways. Boom! Explosions. Crazy.
There's a lot of energy in spinning cameras. This is very. Is this? Did Sam Raimi direct this? Because it's very Sam Raimi-esque.
Yeah. Yeah. They
That's a
basically just
promise.
showed the opening scene, though. That's kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
in that sense.
Well, in a way.
To protect our world.
Oh yeah. Good old Wong. He was a star in this movie, right? Like he really
He is the Sorcerer Supreme in this film. It kind of is keeping because he's kind of giving him. He's telling Strange what the deal is, so that means that their dynamic has shifted slightly. That he seems to be subordinate to Wong now.
Yeah.
Funny thing, both
Wong
actors' name is Benedict, but you know that's not their
Isn't that
fault.
funny, right? His name is Benedict Wong,
Yeah,
and he plays Wong.
with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh man,
You didn't even notice that, right?
he just blew my mind. I never made that connection. Wow.
I
right.
literally just said they're both named Benedict, but okay.
Here he is.
Yes. A little promise of
Little
cameo there
presenting in
from
front of
another
the
from a-
Illuminati.
from another film series.
There's some crazy stuff happening. Oh my goodness, he just split his whole face open. That must be a pivotal scene, right? That had to have been like a critical scene in the movie.
Yeah, it seems like it's that's probably the biggest action piece of the movie.
Yeah, it seems right. Like that's like the money shot of the whole film.
That was the biggest scene. Oh, hey, there's two of them.
Oh yeah.
That's gotta be
That's
strange.
that reminds me of like a little Superman Returns right there. When again, not Superman Returns, Superman 3. Real freaky
Oh,
stuff.
He's
When
fighting
he's fighting himself.
He's fighting drunk Superman.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, drunk
So it
Superman.
looks like whatever spell Doctor Strange is gonna do is gonna pull Wanda into two people.
Is that what that told you?
That's what that told me.
That's the
Yeah.
impression you got from that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's
All right.
funny? I don't ever actually listen back to our podcasts. I always end up watching them. I just can only imagine what that was like for our listening audience, because it really wasn't as compelling, I don't think. Actually, I think it was very compelling in terms of the performance we did. But I can't imagine they have any idea what the trailer looks like. Like, period.
Well, you could always, you could provide a URL link so they can
That's
watch
true.
that as
Look
they
at
as they listen to the show.
What were your general impressions of the trailer versus what ended up happening in the movie?
I think it's pretty much a comprehensive trailer. Just lets you know. But I mean, look, it just lets you know a whole bunch of wacky things are going to go on, where they're going to be going from place to place, and no reality is going to be real, or they're either going to be lost in time or lost in the multiverse somewhere, because it is called Multiverse of Madness. It does look pretty mad.
Yeah.
So I mean, that seems like it was in keeping with seems like an honest aspect of the film. And that trailer doesn't really give me much of an impression of anything.
Right.
However, I mean, other than Benedict Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange, he's the one who's got to sort this whole crazy mess out, and that's about all I get. And he's protecting a girl, it seems like.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember watching that and just thinking, this trailer tells me nothing. It's just basically showcasing a lot of
action set pieces, and
yeah.
And I think he saws a bus in half, which is
Again,
so
I think
that's a visual that's hard to forget. Like, yeah,
the most striking visual to me though is also like that scene where his face is like literally coming apart, right? Like and so it feels as if that might have been like during the pivotal third act when
I'm gonna sidebar this and stick with the bus thing. How do superheroes know there's never passengers on the vehicles they destroy?
That's a good point.
Just remember the Dark Knight when Batman's riding around in the Batpod and those cars are in his way. He's like, I'm not gonna ride around these, man. I got cannons.
That's
blow
true.
these cars up. How does he know some bum is not sleeping in one of those cars? Like I never understand how. I mean, it always works out for the hero, but how did Doctor Strange not know he was gonna saw several dozen people in half when he saw that bus in half?
I think they do the statistics in their head and the law of probability, and they're like, the
That's
law of
what makes them
probability
heroes.
suggests
Idiots like you and
on
I with superpowers would kill hundreds of people. But
oh man, massive.
You gotta be Doctor Strange or one of the Avengers, and to be able to do drastic things like sawing a bus in half and not kill anyone.
Yeah.
No one even got hurt.
It's gonna be no, I agree with you. Well, that's the thing I also find kind of, and again, this goes back to the original, and we're totally tangenting, but that's okay. Argument we had a couple. It wasn't an argument, but it was a case that I made a couple of weeks ago when I think I even discussed Doctor Strange. That things in comics, you can, because it's art, you could just kind of let it slide. But if you actually saw any of this stuff in real life, you'd be like, that just doesn't make sense. Like the fact that these people just confidently go out and fight these like crazy creatures. You know what I mean? Like there would just, I don't know, like I find it insane that they're just like, oh yeah, looks like you missed your stop.
This is a New York that survived the attack, the Thanos attack in 2011 or whatever year that was, right? So I mean that New York is kind of, they're loosey goosey at this point, you know. They survived the two Thanos attacks, the one Loki led in the beginning of in Avengers 1, and then the one in Endgame where half the people on Earth disappeared. And then they all came back 5 years later. So, like I said, they're a limber. You know, they're like, that's a big tentacle creature in the middle of Midtown. Damn, I got to get across town. I got time for this tentacle. Where are the Avengers? Where are the Avengers?
My favorite movie, not one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite scenes in a movie though was The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and what's his name? Oh, Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Where Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock are just like, I mean, they are prototypical like action heroes, and they're just like, aim for the bushes. And then they both just, because I feel like that's gotta happen.
I remember watching that movie like that was the funniest thing I've ever seen, but that made no sense.
Yeah.
They played There Goes My Hero from Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
They jumped off that's fantastic.
I remember being on a date for that movie. And I don't know how I got a second date out of it because I laughed.
It's not your fault.
No.
That movie was your fault. You chose that film. Oh.
So I was guffawing. I mean, my laughter during that scene was so appalling, and obnoxious. But somehow I got a second date.
I saw that movie with a friend, and we laughed like it wasn't a laugh. It was a shout. We were shouting.
I know.
That's how pretty. And that kind of stuff usually doesn't get me like that. But that visual was so absurd that it just broke my brain.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I can't. I'm laughing. Right? I see it so clear in my head.
So do I. You know, the problem with that scene is that it'll never be as good as the first time you saw it.
But still pretty amazing. There's another scene. You know, there's a scene in there's a South Park. We're so far past Truth or Trash at this point. We don't have to edit this out at some point. There was a South Park episode where, and South Park's been around for God knows how long, but there was a time when it first burst onto the scene where it was laugh out loud funny, and then I think the two seasons after the first season, or the second or the third and fourth season, they just weren't as good. Like they just weren't what the initial ones were. And then right around the time of like George Bush and the Iraq War, South Park started getting really super political and just hilarious with a lot of their stuff. And they had this like creative revitalization. And there's an episode where I don't remember why, but they were trying to save the whales. And the only way they could save the whale was to like shoot it into space, where they would be like, the whale would be safe or whatever. And there's this final scene where the boys succeed and they're all like, cheer, we did it, we saved it. And the last scene is just the whale dead on the moon. And it's just there for a good 30 seconds. No music,
words,
no
music.
nothing. Just
the consequences of your actions. It's a dead whale on the moon. Sometimes things just end with a dead whale on the moon.
It's not good, right?
That's the way life is sometimes. Sometimes there's a dead whale on the moon.
I gotta watch that one again too. I have that on. No, South Park is still on HBO Max. I gotta watch that one. I mean, just
probably it's probably there.
It's one of those like 80s movies, 80 movie parodies that they would do so well. And the ultimate consequence was they succeeded, but by succeeding, they
have a dead whale on the moon.
Yeah. All right. Did the film live up to the trailer, Doctor Strange? We took the long way here, Name that genre. Okay, name that genre. Did the world of the story in the trailer equal the world that we got in the film? Essentially, what did it set up for you in the trailer versus what did it end up being? A good example again would be the Batman. Right, looked like a standard superhero movie in the trailer. Turned out to be the movie Seven. That was my take on it. So in this particular case,
With an
you
awesome
know,
car chase.
what did Doctor Strange? What did the Doctor Strange trailer set up for you? Did you go into it looking like this is a typical superhero movie, or a
It looked
typical?
like it was filmed in Absurdovision, and the
Yeah.
movie was kind of absurd. So it did live up to that. Actually, the movie was a little tamer than the trailer
Yeah.
made it out to be, but it
Yeah.
wasn't so tame that it was disappointing to me. I know there's a lot of controversy about the movie,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
but it's doing really well. But people are it's one of those doing well that people are claiming is not doing well.
it
So
did have
I
a
don't know.
big drop off in the second week, but
Yeah,
still
it's
doing great.
68%. But I mean,
Yeah.
it made 200 million its first weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And they're still saying it may hit 1 billion. It's already past the Batman, and everyone considered that a success.
Yeah.
So it's weird, like people's gauge on these things are just, it's an unfair system of calculation, basically.
Yeah.
Because
So
they
I'm gonna
base your
trash.
movie off the last successful movie in your line as opposed to the last successful movie that came out, and that's not really fair because the market's always going to be very different, every season. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I
done.
I
I'm
agree
done
with you on that.
soapbox. I'm off the soapbox.
That's okay.
I'm off my soapbox.
It's funny.
Very
I
comfortable soapbox. So.
I like the name that genre, and I forgot to supply that to our producer Aaron to put in there because I like the idea of did the film, set up a world that we didn't end up getting. So that's gonna be the first question, and I'm gonna trash that. I'm gonna say it did not live up to the trailer. The trailer to me looked like a sequel to Doctor Strange, and the first Doctor Strange was a very fantastical kind of, roller coaster filmed kind of magic movie, for lack of a better term. And
Roller
this one
coaster
looked like it
magic
was
movie.
setting up. What's that?
A roller coaster magic movie. That sounds
Well,
that sounds like an acid trip.
Like an acid trip, right? Exactly, right. Like you're on a loop-to-loop roller coaster, watching Doctor Strange, the original one, right? And I would sit there and say that this trailer looked like it was primed to just be more of the same. And what it ended up being to me was anything but that. It ended up being more of, it had horror elements. I don't call it a horror movie, but it definitely had a little more grim, a little more gritty, a little more horror related. So I'm going to trash the genre setup of the trailer and say that they, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying they did not live up to what I was expecting based off of the trailer in terms of, the type of film we were going to get.
All right.
Are you going to truth it or trash it?
I said it was a truth. I said it was filmed in Absurdovision, and the movie has. I think the movie delivered the absurd.
Okay. All right,
I didn't get a horror vibe from it, really. You get more of a horror vibe from the film in the film.
Yes, no, that's my point.
But the trailer doesn't. The trailer, but I mean, it wasn't a horror film. There are horror elements in it. There are things that are played from a horror angle, but it's not a horror film. And so the trailer doesn't suggest a horror film. And I think if you're going to watch a Doctor Strange film and suddenly you're in a zombie picture, and then suddenly you're in a, Fantastic Beasts picture where, you're fighting giants, and then suddenly Professor X is there, and then suddenly, it's absurd. So it fit the absurd aspect as far as I'm concerned.
All right, we're going to go truth on that one. All right, truth or trash, did the film deliver on the big moments from the trailer? And it's amazing because what they'd managed to do in the trailer, to me, was to give you a lot of enticing visuals, a lot of enticing action. And at the end of the day, those are not the pivotal moments of the trailer, of the film. Some of them are. You do have the Wanda versus Wanda. You do have, toward the end and things like that. But for the most part, all these pivotal moments that you see in the trailer, or at least the ones that stand out to me, are all set up for the rest of the film. So I think it's really impressive, how they ended up doing that. And so I will say that the film delivered on the big moments, because it took, all the moments they showed in the trailer I thought were awesome, and then they ended up,
And there
piling that on
being
with
more.
even more awesome
I think
moments
it was the
later on.
most. I think it was the most innovative MCU movie since maybe Ragnarok. Which was a complete genre change for
Yeah.
Thor. And I think the lesson they learned from Ragnarok is that they can play with other genres. They can make an MCU movie, but they can play with fringe genres like horror, like comedy, like
Yeah.
slapstick, like satire, that kind of thing. But they they realize they have to temper it with a lot of MCU isms and set pieces and visuals. Um, it has to be full of some kind of pathos that the character is dealing with, and then they could pretty much, go free range. When you try to do just straight up fantasy, and build this magnificent, like, huge world and just fill it with quirky characters, you'll get something maybe like the Eternals, which is
Right.
not a bad movie, but it's not really a standout movie. I enjoyed the Eternals, but it wasn't really like it's not a movie I run back to. But like
Yeah.
I would run back to Doctor Strange because I'm like, did I just see that correctly?
Yeah.
Do I understand what I just watched? Do I get it? So, and I mean, also they did the same thing with No Way Home, where it was another multiverse situation, but it was a very heartfelt nostalgia pull, and then a tragedy in its own way.
Yeah.
And so they realized, okay, we have to fill these movies with like some tremendous left turns in order just to keep the audience on their toes.
Well, let me ask you a question though. And I'll start by giving you my take. I actually enjoyed the actual crux of the movie more than the gimmicks. The gimmicks of Captain Carter, the gimmicks of, the Fantastic Four being there, the, Professor X being there, things like that. Like to me, that, those kind of moments are what fuel the fanfire. But to me, sometimes can take away from the film. And to me, I thought it didn't take away from the film, but it also to me wasn't the reason I walked out being like, wow, I went to that film and I can't believe I saw, Captain Carter and, Fantastic Four and Professor X. Like, it was almost, I walked out of there, what impacted me more was the actual film itself, the rest of the film around that, not just that one kooky, gimmicky, cameo moment.
Yeah,
Did you?
that's the way it should be, though, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, and I'm glad it did. I'm just saying, did you feel the same way, or was that?
I never, I'm never like, whoa, that was amazing. Like I got over that because that was ruining my ability to enjoy movies. My need to do that for every film that I saw. Like, oh my God, there was no oh my God moment. So this movie sucked. That was killing my my movie going experience. So
Yeah.
I got out of that habit. So every now and then when there's a movie like, say, Infinity War, where it's just like, wow, this is really a well put together, series of events, and there's some really great action in it, and there's flaws with those movies, of course, but
Sure.
who cares? When the movie is good enough, you don't care. That's the trick. Is to make you not give a damn about the flaws. So, but that's a rare experience. Like, whoa, but for the most part, I just want to see something and enjoy it,
Yeah.
and know understand what I'm looking at, and not be like Rise of Skywalker. Like, what am I looking at, man? What is actually happening? Why are they in the desert again? So,
cool. All right, we're gonna. So I think what we're saying is we're gonna truth the film delivering on the big moments.
I vote for truth.
Yeah, I'm gonna go truth on that as well too. All right. Question 3: Who's afraid of the big bad? Did the villain match the trailer? Now, The thing about this trailer that I thought was very amazing is they don't actually tell you who the big bad is. And so they always they do a lot of the shots of like the bird's eye view street level. So they're always like looking up and they're, it's like, oh, so there's going to be some sort of giant, it's going to be Stay Puft Marshmallow Man walking down Fifth Avenue now. They give you a lot of look out and run and look and this, but they don't actually spell it out. And then you do have the scene again, the very Superman 3-ish scene with the two Wandas, to where they are, facing off, to where it's never, and this is spoiler alert, so we will flash our warning spoilers up on the screen again if you're watching us in the video and if you're listening to us. It very much to me from the trailer felt as if Wanda was a good guy. And there was another Wanda that was a bad guy, which is what happened in the trailer, which is what happened in the film, but not in the way that I thought it was going to happen. I thought that the good Wanda was part of the group, the merry band of misfits that were lost in the multiverse, and maybe she stumbles across a bad version of her. But to me, I never, from the trailer, thought that she was the big bad at all. I mean, I was stunned when that actually happened in the film, that she was the central villain throughout it all. Did you agree with that? Was that your take as well too?
No, because I already knew that she was supposedly the bad guy because some idiot pundit like 2 years ago said, yeah, this is a WandaVision. It's going to lead right into Multiverse of Madness where she's the villain. And that was that. I did figure that it was going to take a while for her to reveal herself as the villain, or a while for. I thought the events of the film would slowly transform her into the Heavy, as opposed to her being the villain from the beginning.
Yes.
But I did all along figure that she was going to be the bad guy.
Now, our producer Aaron said, I knew it from the second image of her in the trailer, but again, I think to me, I thought that she was going to be battling an evil part of herself, but not in this. What's that?
And it could have been that, the way you're saying it, but
right.
And it technically was that.
It technically was that, but not the way it was presented in the trailer, right? To me, it felt like what you were saying, like a gradual descent into madness.
You figure it. Well, but that's not because of the trailer or because of that's just because of films. That's because of years and years of watching films. You're like, okay, what they're going to probably do is she's going to start off, baking cookies, and then by the end she's going to try to cut someone's head off. So
right,
it's and it's just kind of your understanding of film language,
right?
But the good films know that you already speak that language, so they start speaking a different language, while and continue to foster the falsehood of that they're speaking the original language.
Yep.
I mean, she pretty much almost immediately says, "Oh yeah, I'm the bad guy." I'm lying. Yeah, and I'm the bad guy. So yeah. I'm
gonna trash it. I'm gonna say did the villain match the trailer? I'm gonna actually say trash it because I don't. It completely. And this is a good thing. Again, when I trash it, doesn't mean I'm saying it's bad. I'm just saying that what was set up in the trailer.
I don't get the parameters of that because is that trash though. If the trailer it makes you interested and fails to reveal to you the truth of the film. Isn't that a successful trailer as opposed to? So
I'm not saying it's not.
But so trash is good and truth is bad? I don't understand. I don't get this. I don't get. All right. Okay.
We'll evolve this as it goes along.
Yes, apparently so. We'll revise. We'll do refinement.
All right. Final rating for this. Did it live up to the trailer? Spoiler alert, did the trailer give away the ending? And again, this goes back to What Lies Beneath, to where I literally watched What Lies Beneath trailer and it's like I just watched the entire movie. And I will absolutely say it did not give away the ending at all.
Which is ironic because it does show you the ending.
Yes. Yes.
But it didn't show it to you in a manner where you realize, hey, that's the ending. I don't have to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay home.
Yeah. So I guess we'll truth that then, right? We'll truth.
No, you have to trash it because it didn't
trash it. You're right. See, yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe I got this all backwards.
See what I mean? But it is the truth.
We'll work on the gimmick. We'll work on the gimmick somehow.
just like everything else. Well, yeah, just work in progress. We'll get it right.
The good news is there are more movies coming out.
Yes, so this is an opportunity for us.
We can do this with TV shows too. I mean, we could do Moon
and
Knight.
we can do it
show
with
TV
anything
show.
that has a trailer because everything's got a trailer these days.
I know.
Freaking comic books. Well, comic books always had trailers. If you used to read GI Joe, Hasbro used to have cartoon commercials for each issue of GI Joe that came out when we were kids. Yeah, you could find them all on YouTube.
That's crazy.
And they were awesome.
I must go there right now.
They were awesome.
I must go there right now.
Imagine that. Imagine having a cartoon trailer for every comic that you did.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow.
But that was because of Hasbro. That wasn't Marvel. Marvel didn't have that kind of money. Hasbro had the money. That's what they made that happen.
I want to thank our guest tonight, Mr. James Mascia, along with our other guest, Mr. Hassan Godwin, who's always here. So he's not really a guest. He's
Lord of the Radio.
He's there, which is good. But you're not Lord of the Radio when you draw stuff, though, right?
I'm always the Lord of the Radio.
Oh, okay.
I paid for the title. It's like that scam where you could buy land in Scotland and become a lord. I did that.
Should we have credited you as Lord of the Radio in the book instead of Hassan Godwin?
I wish you would have, but nobody
let people know that.
Nobody does. Nobody does what I asked them to do.
It's crazy. All right.
I said, can I be Lord of the Radio? And they were like, and they hung up on me. They were like, all right, we're done with you. Thanks for the image.
You were talking into a shoe, by the way. It wasn't an actual phone.
My shoe's my phone. I could show it to you.
Go check out Seila Fire, Emergence Chapter 1. You can check out Seila Fire Exile, Hassan's covers, Lord of the Radio's covers. No, I got to go Hassan's. Hassan's covers grace both of them. There's more installments coming out every month. There's also the podcast, the Seila Fire podcast. So James Mascia goes into great detail with host Bevan, all about the book. So if you like that, that's what Rogue Matter does. It gives you a total worldview. It's not just comics. It's not just ebooks. It's not just podcasts. It's everything. Next week, all right, now this is going to be big. Now, about a month ago, we did Fan Expo Philly. I got a bunch of awesome interviews, and we're going to display the first two from Fan Expo Philly. It is a Clerks reunion. I got Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson on camera talking two separate interviews, so we're going to check that out. Plus, we're gonna get psyched for Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is debuting that week. We will see you guys next week. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the